What's up, guys? My name is Elias, and this weekend was Batman Day. And after many years of superhero cinema, there have been an abundance of sequels, remakes, and reboots of the character, which makes it difficult to decide which ones deserve a spot among the upper echelons of the comic book movie world. Though every one of the characters' movies provides its own significance toward my favorite superheroes mythos, this video will stamp my official ranking of each of the Cape Crusaders films I've seen from the absolute worst to the absolute best. Let's get it. At number 9, I got 1966's Batman the Movie. Who would have thought that the revered 1960s era Batman series would stand the test of time, remaining quoted, idolized, and homaged till this day? At this point, it's no surprise that when a movie based off the hit show was announced, fans everywhere were excited to see the hammy antics of Adam West Cape Crusader on the big screen. With the series' four main rogues set to take center stage, audiences knew they were in for a wild, albeit innocently corny, ride. Batman the movie sees the dynamic duo of Batman and Burt Ward's Robin attempting to foil the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, and Catwoman's sudden unified goal in taking over the world by way of dehydrating people until they're dust. If that synopsis wasn't wacky enough, there are some standout moments throughout the film that you can't help but get a chuckle out of. Such moments include the infamous Bat Shark repellent spray and Batman running around looking for a way to dispose of a bomb. The 60s were an interesting time indeed. While this movie isn't meant to be anything more than just dumb fun, that doesn't stop it from falling to the bottom of my list. As I've stated previously, the 60s era Batman was never one of my favorites and something that I didn't really grow up with as a child of the 90s. Though I understand that this movie was a major event for comic book films at the time, we've simply grown beyond that with projects that are miles better in a quality standpoint, having seen more serious iterations of the character. Believe me, I get why some people love this movie and hold a special place in their hearts for it. I admit it's a good time that allows you to shut your brain off and just enjoy it for what it is, though there's no denying the nostalgia that automatically comes with this timeless film. As a fan of so bad it's good movies, even I don't see myself throwing this one on in the background anytime soon. That's not to say I hate it, but I don't love it either. At number 8, I got The Dark Knight Rises. I know a lot of you are going to disagree with Rises being so low on my list, but I think the ones that are higher up are going to surprise you even more. While I can appreciate a solid cap off to a fairly flawless trio of films, there's just certain things about Christopher Nolan's conclusion to the Dark Knight trilogy that prevent me from enjoying it as much as I used to. Set 8 years after the events of The Dark Knight, Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne, now a reclusive hermit who refuses to leave his mansion, is forced out of retirement from vigilantism after Anne Hathaway's seductive femme fatale Catwoman enters his life. This cat and mouse game between the two leads Bruce down a path that forces him to confront his past in the form of Tom Hardy's beastly Bane, a disciple of the League of Shadows. The film is filled with multiple memorable moments, including its opening minutes where Bane commences an escape plan out of a plane. Oh, and the fight scene where Bane breaks Batman's back, and the part where Bane blows up a football field. Okay, pretty much anything with Bane is better than the rest of the movie, aside from the dreaded plot twist that reveals his status as a glorified henchman. Wherein lies my biggest gripe. Batman is completely sidelined, making way for the villains and side characters to be more interesting than the titular one. On top of that, Nolan's way of shooting action here makes Batman look like an absolute scrub to the point it's laughable he even beats Bane in the end. Catwoman is cool enough, but aside from the third act, she isn't really given much to do, or maybe I missed something there, though her dynamic with Bruce is perfectly captured from the comic books. Furthermore, no matter how much I love the ending of the movie, through many plot conveniences, like the method for Bruce's spine realignment, his timely arrival in Gotham before the bomb explodes, and somehow surviving said explosion, the 2 hour and 45-minute movie finally comes to an epic clash between Bane's forces and the people of Gotham, followed swiftly by a comical death for Marion Cotillard's Talia al Ghul, and the random introduction of Nolan's rather unskilled version of Robin. As the film enticed the kid in me during a theatrical Dark Knight marathon back in high school, I was completely in awe at the trilogy's ambiguous finality. But after 13 years, and even after this rewatch, I still find myself watching the movie solely for Bane and nothing else. I'm about to really get in the hot seat now, but at number 7, I got 2022's The Batman. Now relax, put down the pitchforks and the torches. From here on out are all movies I either really like or love with every fiber of my being. Even Dark Knight Rises, I don't hate it, obviously. I mean, it's just, when you're picking your favorite children, essentially, Rises is not one of them. But in no way, shape, or form am I saying that I even hate or dislike the Batman. As a matter of fact, I gave Matt Reeves' Dark Tale a 4.5 out of 5 upon my first viewing, and nevertheless, I just don't find myself itching to rewatch it as much as the other Batman movies above, unless I'm about to go to sleep. Sue me. Billionaire recluse Bruce Wayne, played rather uniquely by Twilight alum Robert Pattinson, vows vengeance against all criminals while on his second year as the Batman. Caught up in a Halloween murder mystery commenced by the enigmatic and brutal Riddler, Batman is assisted along the way by his trusted ally Jeffrey Wright's Lieutenant James Gordon and his familial butler Andy Serkis's Alfred Pennyworth. Zoe Kravitz's sly Catwoman and Colin Farrell's ambitious Penguin also join the fray as they navigate the criminal underbelly headed by none other than John Turturro's intimidating Carmine Falcone. From the intoxicating music to its political overtones, the Batman grips you right from the start, thrusting you into its bleak version of Gotham. While an interesting and engaging story in and of itself, the movie's biggest downfall, however, aside from its original conception as a Batfleck film, which would have been way more epic, and I'll never be able to forgive WB for that, is that it slogs at a snail's pace. Sure, there's a couple of good action scenes in between the dynamic situations. That Batmobile chase is simply amazing, but I've noticed how sleepy I get whenever I'm halfway through the film. Certain parts could definitely use a trim, and it shows by the time Riddler gets captured, as a left field finale is tacked on in the third act. For a superhero movie, The Batman plays more like a Shakespearean tragedy than a thoroughly entertaining experience. Don't get me wrong, I'm extremely glad this movie exists because I've been waiting for a true detective like story for the Cape Crusader on film. I'm just not confident Matt Reeves' dour and dreary version was the perfect call. Still, there's something to be said about my excitement for the sequel, what with the Penguin series being absolutely amazing, along with the Joker tease in the film's final minutes. I just hope that the next time around they find a way to blend this uber gothic world with a sense of momentum. Wait, don't click away yet. Did you click away yet? No? Okay, you must be crazier than I am. But thanks for sticking around. Because at number 6, I got Batman and Robin. You see, I already know I'm going to catch hell for putting the generally ostracized dumpster fire that is Batman and Robin over the likes of The Dark Knight Rises and The Batman. However, not only should you keep in mind that I am a diehard fan of so bad it's good movies, as I've said many times before, but I also have a soft spot for nostalgia as well. By now, you should already know the blasphemous story surrounding the 1997 box office flop. Warner Brothers tasked director Joel Schumacher with making a big budget, glorified toy commercial, and that's exactly what he did. The movie sees the hammy, pun spewing duo of Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze plot for world domination with their bumbling lackey Bane, with only Gotham's resident protectors Batman and Robin to stop them, and Batgirl for good measure. George Clooney rightfully gets a lot of hate as Batman, but his Bruce Wayne is absolutely phenomenal. Chris O'Donnell remains whiny and sensitive as the boy wonder, but his dynamic with Bruce perplexedly makes you anticipate what they're going to find about next. Uma Thurman and Arnold Schwarzenegger bring the charisma and most of the laughs to the plate as they crank that corn level up to 100. Alicia Silverstone plays the worst Batgirl in history, but somehow the movie is all the better for it. The movie also completely commits to the idiocy of certain situations and interactions wrought by the innately parodical dialogue. It's a lot to take in, but once you let your mind go and view it as a top tier comedy rather than the dark and brooding drama that Batman is supposed to be, Batman and Robin becomes a superior, albeit widely campy follow up to Keaton's era. I mean, come on. That Bat credit card scene is effing hilarious. Never leave the cave without it. Honestly, the real reason Batman and Robin holds so much weight for me is because it helped me get through some rather dark and borderline depressive times in my life. Therefore, I hold nostalgic love for it despite the general consensus. And I'll defend this so called travesty about family, choices, and legacy to the day I die. And I'll risk losing all credibility as an opinionated writer and critic in doing so. In conclusion, beyond all logical reasoning, for its significance, rewatchability factor, entertainment value, quotability, and sentimental meaning to me personally, Batman and Robin reign supreme over films like The Batman and The Dark Knight Rises. Now, you may get your pitchforks and torches ready again while I slip away into the night. Joking aside, that's all I got for Batman and Robin, but remember what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age! At number 5, though, I got Batman from 1989. Childhood favorite of mine. Tim Burton's first foray into the DC universe saw the director team up with relatively comedic actor Michael Keaton for 1989's aptly titled Batman. Up until then, Christopher Reeve's Superman movies were the premier theatrical comic book films, and nevertheless, once Burton took the reins of the darkest superhero there is, the rest was history. Taking place in the neo Gothic 80s version of Gotham City, the rather unhinged but charming Bruce Wayne spends his nights beating criminals to a pulp clad in bulletproof rubber, with the trauma of his parents' death his sole motivation. Doubling as a pseudo gangster crime movie, Batman forces Jack Nicholson's entertainingly iconic Joker, formerly Jack Napier, on the Caped Crusader as he deals with the woes of romance and secret identities while cruising around in arguably the best Batmobile ever seen on screen. As an innocent kid, the Prince soundtrack and nonsensical third act never really bothered me. As an adult, however, who psychotically nitpicks movies in my spare time, the music, however catchy it may be, hardly dates the film, and the third act is somewhat atrocious. Keaton may be my second favorite Batman, but to see him get beat up by a low level thug shortly after blatantly missing the Joker with an apparently inaccurate targeting system, only to get shot down in the Batplane by a 2 foot revolver, makes me cringe, if ever so slightly. While it's certainly interesting, or off putting, however you may see it, that Batman straight up murders dudes in this movie, thereby racking up a higher body count than Nicholson's Joker, keep in mind that Affleck's Batman did the same thing, though his reasoning was explained in story. Keaton's Batman never feels like a true superhero, but a crazy person running around with high tech gadgets and a penchant for violence. In all, I love this pragmatic take on the Dark Knight, conveying a true sense of what it would be like if a man were to irrationally don a giant batsuit every night to fight crime. Nicholson sometimes steals the spotlight from Keaton's Batman, but his infectiously quotable Joker only elevates the movie with a certain gravitas and charisma as he casually cracks jokes while slaughtering whoever he feels like, including his own henchmen. While the rest of the cast are exceptional in their own right, the movie never falters from prioritizing Batman and Joker's quarrel as its central focus, making Batman an enjoyable film with minor faults that remains to this day one of the most classic, rewatchable comic book movies around. To my surprise, at number 4, I got Batman Forever. Growing up as a child of the 90s, this was one of the Batman movies I threw on the most. I'm aware a lot of fans hated this neon fueled, sexualized, campy version of Gotham lore, but Batman Forever still holds up as one of the most entertaining comic book films in history, for me at least. And yes, I know I'm about to lose some credibility yet again for having it in my top 5, but here it goes anyway. Seemingly a continuation of Tim Burton's movies, Val Kilmer's well casted Bruce Wayne slash Batman has been fighting crime for years, but this time around he must contend with Tommy Lee Jones' scenery chewing Two Face and Jim Carrey's movie stealing Riddler as they plot to usurp the minds of civilians around the globe. Throw in Chris O'Donnell's whiny, teenaged, laundry karate enthusiast Robin, a returning Michael Gough as the snippy Alfred Pennyworth, and a romance between Bruce and Nicole Kidman's horny psychiatrist, Dr. Chase Meridian, and you have a typically maligned Joel Schumacher concoction of 90s euphoria that I absolutely love beyond reason. Sure, the Batmobile stinks, and the campiness is dialed to 11, but the action is far from scarce, and the psychology behind what it means to be Batman is explored throughout the film as Bruce's past haunts him to no end. To date, Kilmer is one of the most heroic Batman as well as he saves a security guard from boiling acid and attacks Two Face's men at Haley's Circus sans Batsuit before Dick Grayson's family suffers a tragic fall. Overall, this is what Batman's life is all about, getting through the day while crazy things happen. The breakout role here, though, without question, is the Riddler, as the flamboyant Jim Carrey spouts hilarious riddles, quotable one liners, and is the most bombastic role the Ace Ventura actor has ever assumed. In Jones's case, well, let's just say he should have done his own thing instead of attempting to one up Jim Carrey, but even his dialogue is quotable as he plays a sort of zany mentor figure before becoming a glorified sidekick. It seems like there's a movie trend with Two-Face being easily manipulated. Manipulated. I can't even say the word. The film's story, along with its unique style, makes it super entertaining, giving the 1995 flick a swagger in line with Burton's movies that simply took a step in a brighter direction. Plus, I'll be darned if that ending with Elliot Goldenthal's addictive theme playing while Batman and Robin run into the screen isn't one of the coolest outros of any film ever. As a kid, I abused my Batman Forever VHS tape, and as an adult, HBO Max might as well say on the homepage, you want to watch Batman Forever again, don't you? Am I nuts for shamelessly putting this a highly entertaining, bafflingly ridiculous movie in my top five? Perhaps. Do I care though? Not in the slightest. Bringing in the top three, I got 1992's Batman Returns. Whether you prefer 1989's Batman or 1992's Batman Returns, there's no denying that the real dynamic duo of Tim Burton and Michael Keaton completely understood what made Batman as cool as he is. More akin to Burton's signature cinematic style, Returns is the most gothic and strange we've seen Gotham look, which is perfectly appropriate for a character like the Dark Knight. It's Christmas time, and Batman finds himself in conflict with Danny DeVito's captivating Penguin and Michelle Pfeiffer's femme fatale Catwoman, not to mention Christopher Walken's cutthroat business mogul Max Schreck. With Penguin running for mayor and Catwoman vowing vengeance on the Bat, the two team up to take him down, only for their alliance to shatter rather quickly. Batman then foils Penguin's plans for destroying Gotham using mind manipulated penguins, resulting in the death of the umbrella twirling villain and the apparent death of the whip wielding feline Fatale. Back with a bold new suit, Keaton appears more confident as the eccentric billionaire in this adored sequel. His Bruce Wayne feels more like Bruce Wayne from the comics while maintaining his staple witty charm that the actor is known for. His chemistry with Pfeiffer is off the charts, and as they find themselves connected without realizing who each other really is until it's too late, and his rapport with Danny DeVito is competitive enough that it makes you believe any one of them could win their personal war at any point. I suppose the reason I stress Batman's dynamic with these other players is to emphasize the fact that not one character outshines the other. Penguin and Catwoman respectfully stand out, along with Michael Gove's ever witty Alfred and Christopher Walken's instantly likable Shrek. But not one moment does Returns feel like anything but a Batman film, with Keaton's screen presence dominating every time, no matter how little screen time he actually has. Whereas Batman's rogues are usually more interesting than him, Returns conveys the perfect balance between rogue and hero. As a kid, I would watch this movie at least once a week, rewinding the VHS tape so frequently that you could see the white static at the top of the screen throughout at least the entire first half. Aesthetically pleasing, action packed, perfectly balanced, and endlessly rewatchable, Batman Returns is undoubtedly one of the best superhero films to ever exist, let alone films in general. An abundance of comic book properties have attempted to emulate the masterpiece to no avail, making the Tim Burton sequel one of the most unique and timeless projects in the genre, in turn shaping me into the comic book fan that I am today. At number two, I got The Dark Knight. Widely and almost exhaustingly hailed as the best Batman movie in existence, Christopher Nolan's magnum opus, aka The Dark Knight, took the world by storm in 2008, breaking box office records and winning multiple awards, making it the first of its kind to do so. Boasting the talents of a returning Christian Bale and the late Heath Ledger, Batman and Joker have never looked so good together on screen. With a modern day hyper realistic version of Gotham City as its backdrop, the film sees Bruce Wayne almost 2 years into being Batman as he continues to sweep the crime riddled streets of Gotham. Aaron Eckhart's district attorney Harvey Dent vows to be Gotham's White Knight, providing Bruce with a hope that he could one day leave Batman behind. However, with the elusively chaotic Joker causing havoc wherever he deems necessary, things take a turn when the manipulated Harvey transforms into the schizophrenic Two Face, forcing the citizens of Gotham to turn against its resident vigilante. In a breathtaking opening scene that introduces the audience to the problem that is the Joker, fans are thrust into what doesn't just feel like a comic book movie, but a masterfully cinematic endeavor altogether. Heath Ledger's performance here is compelling enough to make you almost side with his psychopathic viewpoint of the world, unfortunately at the cost of Christian Bale's Batman. Though his Bruce Wayne is better than ever here as he realizes how far he must go if he is to endure what only Batman can, he yet again seems to be outshined by every other character, becoming the least interesting part in his own movie. The newly introduced Batcycle is insanely cool and provides some of the best action we've seen out of Nolan's trilogy. As far as performances go, everyone does their job with aplomb, especially Eckhart's tragically endearing DA turned vengeful murderer. The story here is absolutely epic, and it's no surprise why it's generally recognized as the best movie DC has to offer. Not only revolutionized the genre as a whole, but also brought non comic fans on board the roller coaster of fandom as it is. I feel like I will always be curious how different The Dark Knight Rises would have been had Heath Ledger not passed away so soon, because his iconic breakout performance is something other Joker actors have tried to emulate, but for most, myself included, Ledger remains to this day the best live action comic book villain, let alone cinematic villains in general. Still, while the edge of your seat The Dark Knight made me start to dislike Bale's Batman, I still recollect special memories with it, but it just couldn't crack the top spot for the simple fact that it's more so a Joker movie than a Batman movie. But at number one, you guessed it, is 2005's Batman Begins. My personal favorite of Nolan's trilogy, and evidently my favorite Batman film, Batman Begins presented to the world at large a gritty, realistic, and badass version of the character that hadn't been seen on screen before. I'm a sucker for origin stories, and had this been the only Batman film American Psycho actor Christian Bale had starred in, he could have easily reached GOAT status and became my all time favorite Batman. Though the sequel sort of did him dirty, Begins remains a true masterpiece. Bruce Wayne had been floating about the criminal underworld for years before training with the resourceful League of Shadows, mentored by Liam Neeson's Ra's al Ghul. As if Ninja Bruce Wayne was not enough for you, he then comes back to Gotham after being declared dead for 7 years to take down the mob as Batman and stop Cillian Murphy's Scarecrow from covering Gotham in aerosolized poison. Along the way, Michael Caine's fatherly Alfred, Morgan Freeman's hilarious Lucius Fox, and Gary Oldman's masterful Jim Gordon assist Bruce in his quest, with Katie Holmes' Rachel Dawes adding to the already remarkable performances the movie contains. Nolan interestingly displays the events of the film by teetering back and forth between past and present, providing rich context for every significant event in Bruce's life within the first half. Though Bale doesn't don the bat suit until the halfway point, his journey to becoming Gotham's resident vigilante is so enthralling that you completely forget how much time has passed before he finally announces he's Batman to Falcone, after taking his thugs out of the shipyard, no less. With top notch acting skills, Bale makes Bruce Wayne as interesting as Batman, understanding that there can't be one without the other. Plus, his version of the vigilante is somewhat terrifying, hanging dudes off the edge of buildings and yelling at them in his signature growl. Honestly, even the choppy action style shooting Nolan was known for at the time seemingly made Bale's combat ethereal and quick, whereas in the sequels, the extended shots of him fighting basically made him move like a slug. And how could I not mention the Tumbler, aka Nolan's version of the Batmobile? It's big, it's loud, it's an absolute tank of a vehicle that fits a militarized Batman like Bale's, though I prefer the design of Keaton's slightly more. The costume is also one of my favorite Batsuits of all time, with the blacked out armored look similar to a highly advanced version of Keaton's. Remaining quotable, timeless, and a perfect blend of humor, action, and drama, Batman Begins is an essential viewing for non comic fans and fans alike to understand what the character of Bruce Wayne slash Batman is all about. But there you have it, guys. My official ranking of all 9 live action Batman movies that I've watched. Let me know your thoughts in the comments about my ranking as well as what your personal ranking would be, or just give me your top 5 Batman movies and we can discuss our differences. Remember to hit that like button and share this video to someone so they can join in on the conversation too. Subscribe to my channel and follow me on all socials at Takes with Eli. But until next time, guys, take care and God bless.